Hi, my name's Rudolf Burkhardt. I'm going to talk to you today about operational excellence. As you can see from the slide, I am part of two things, Alcione Consulting GmbH & Co. They are a TOC firm in Germany, and CSSTW, that is just me, Common Sense Solutions that Work. In any case, we're going to talk about operational excellence today, and I hope it's a topic that's also close to your heart. Do you, like most businesses, seek ever better operational excellence? Do you do that? Do you believe that the better operational excellence will actually improve your bottom line? If you do, then maybe you should stick with me. So where do you stand? Perhaps your lead time is longer than competition's. Could that be the case? Possibly costs are too high or prices too low. Potentially delivery reliability is not good enough. Competition is better. Your growth curve may be flattening like this. Maybe you don't have enough capacity to fulfill your demand, which might lead to customers not buying enough from you to keep you profitable. Sales and profit growth end up flattening. Is this what your business looks like, or do you recognize any of these? There might be others that you recognize that you have that are similar to these 6. If you have them, then maybe you'll stick with me. If you don't have any of these, you can ignore the rest of my presentation because your operation is probably plenty good enough. You might want to consider some other things to improve your business. So where would you like to be? Can you visualize 40% more capacity and no added resources? For no added resources? Can you picture lead times shorter than your competition's? Can you imagine low cost and no price problems? Customers have no problems with your prices. They buy at the price that you ask. Do you have a reliability that's close to 100%? In other words, you deliver on time 100% of the time, or very close to that? Can you picture a time when customers beat down your door, to get more of your product? Can you imagine your sales and profit grow in a curve such as this one? If this is where you would like to be, how are you going to get there? How do you plan to get where you want to be? Well, here's a suggestion. Adopt and implement the theory of constraints, TOC. Adopt the ideas, concepts, and tools. If you do, they can get you there quickly. So why use TOC? Well, because it helps you focus on the relevant. The relevant is the constraint within your business. It could be a bottleneck, but in many cases it is simply the constraint. It still has some capacity, but it is the one that is limiting how much you can make and sell. It never wastes your key capacity. TOC does not allow you, if you use it correctly, to waste your key capacity, your constraint. It tends to strengthen your weakest link because it suggests actions in the process that you follow so that you can get more and more from your weakest link. You become fast and reliable. Your lead times can be cut in half or something close to that, and your reliability, despite the cut, will improve and will improve a lot. It causes the right kind of teamwork. If you have a constraint, as all of you do, or even a bottleneck, it is extremely important that the rest of the organization, the non-constraints, the non-bottlenecks, all work in a way that enhances the capabilities of your constraining element. It's not an easy thing to do because most organizations and most people believe they must optimize their specific area of responsibility. But if they do that, they can often damage what is your constraint, damage the capacity of your constraint, damage its ability to deliver on time, and damage its reliability. So if you do use TOC, it can deliver 30 to 70% more throughput to your bottom line. Throughput is actually the rate at which you make money, and it is gross margin that we talk about. And it can find lots of capacity for more production or more anything else that you're producing. So all of these will translate to an exciting new bottom line that I'm sure you'll love. So why use it now? Well, because owners, investors, and the managers all expect more and more growth from the company. Managers are measured by how well they do. They are measured by the profit that they generate and how much more they get every month, every year. Your competitors are not asleep at the wheel. They are trying to do the same thing. They are trying to become better than you. Not just a little bit better, a lot better. If they manage it, then you are in trouble. So competitors aren't asleep. You got to keep going and make sure that you are ahead of them. TOC attracts new customers and therefore profit. The new customers are attracted because you are faster and more reliable, because you have the capacity to produce. Your weakest link becomes stronger. Your customers, because they reward fast and reliable delivery, are going to buy more. That's the reward. More profit and ROI, greater sustainability. If you are more profitable and your ROI is higher, then your company is more sustainable in terms of finance, in terms of financial sustainability. Nothing equals Alchione's TLS team. TLS means Theory of Constraints, Lean Six Sigma. The entire team has knowledge in all three areas, the key one being the TOC one, because of the focus it gives. So get your exciting new bottom line now. Here's a story. I'm sitting in my office in Geneva, looking out the window, watching the airplanes land and take off, when the phone rings, and it's my boss who's actually situated in Germany. He tells me that he's just got an appropriation request from his factory in Spain, his paint factory in Spain. They want to spend $500,000 on some added equipment because they have a constraint. $500,000 is not in my boss's plan to spend, so what he's asking me to do is to go there and find a way to not spend that money. And he tells me even if the constraint remains, I will not give them the $500,000. So I go down there and sit down with the plant management and some of his team and suggest, let's play a little simulation, which I brought along. The simulation is a series of machines that the various participants in the meeting will operate, and I have, of course, built in a constraint or bottleneck that will have some sort of effect as we play. So they play, and business and product flows nicely through the plant, but all of a sudden they start to see that it builds up in one place. And where does it build up? It builds up in front of the constraint. And very soon after that started to happen, one of the team members said, I know, the constraint that we think is a constraint is not. It's quality control. They are immediately afterwards. And they are the ones that are slowing down and causing the ones before to keep a lot of paint in their tanks, which blocks the tanks, which blocks production. So it's quality control. They are just not confirming that the color is right fast enough. So, what do we have to do? We have to make sure that these people in quality control have an increase in capacity. Well, in fact, at the time when we discussed this, we found out that they had just lost 2 people from their team, and only 2 were left. The 2 that they lost were out of action for a longer time. One was with a broken leg, and the other one was undergoing cancer treatment. So we had to deal with just 2 people and manage all that capacity. What we did as a team, we looked at what these people do, and we found out that they would have to go get a sample from the factory. In other words, walk over there, get the sample, walk back, do the test, and since paint is never 100% right in the first go, they had to then calculate how much they had to add and what, go back to the plant, add it, wait half an hour until the mixture was uniform, and then take another sample and go back and test that. Depending on the color, you could get it right the first time, but many times it was, especially with the difficult colors, it would take several adjustments. You can imagine the time lost by these quality control people. So what the team decided to do was to stop all this walking and waiting. The sample were taken by somebody else, somebody from production, and brought to the quality control. The quality control tested, that was their expertise, and then said what had to be added. The people in production would then weigh the quantity, put it in the vat, stir it until it was uniform, take another sample and go back to quality control and get it tested. So the people who were losing time walking around and waiting became production. And of course they didn't lose so much time except for the walking back and forth, because while they were waiting for the stirring to be completed, they could do other things in production that the quality control people could not. So that's my story. We ended up with, guess what, 40% more capacity because the experts were no longer walking back and forth and were no longer waiting. So here it is, and you can then see it. That's the story. We gained 40% capacity and were able to meet demand at that factory. The value? Well, just think about how much 40% is worth if you can sell 40% more. Especially because no added fixed cost was needed in order to do this. All we had to do was to change the process a little bit. Do the math. So why me and Alcione? Well, here's the because. Alcione's consultant team knows TOC well. They have to, because they operate with many different types of customers with many different constraints, and certainly the operations look different. Alcione has the necessary software tools. One is called Simple Planning. It does it helps you schedule your factory. The second one is TOC in SAP. That is the same functionality as Simple Planning, but is now a module within the SAP products. And we have partners who do have critical chain software support. So you can visit Alcione customers. This is something that you can do, and why you should you should work with us. You can visit Alcione customers to see their results and hear experiences from their customers. These sorts of visits happen several times a year, so why not sign up for one of them? You can also ask for reference cases, which is just text that you can read, and you can see it'll be from a customer, possibly also one of those customers that we visit. And we have, of course, a global network of TOC experts, all of whom are ready and willing to help, because it is a network that helps each other, not just them helping us, we help them. It's a great sounding board. So here is Alchione's 9S process for more profit and higher profitability. Number 1, spotlight. You can see it at the top there. That is the spotlight shining on the constraint to keep everybody's attention there, sufficiently there. The specie and stack up is about money or finance and KPIs. You need these to know that you're achieving your goal. Sync is to synchronize your factory to the demands of your constraint, because you don't want to waste it, and to the demands of the market. Stock is managing your inventory to be 100%, to have 100% availability when somebody wants something from the stock. It is there, and to do that with much less inventory, often 40% less. Steer is project management, something that Alchione can do, but it is not their focus. Steer is project management, and the software there is called CCPM, or rather that is the process, and the software will come from those other companies I mentioned. Sales and selling. Once you've done the first 5 elements, it is time to sell what you have achieved. A customer will not necessarily believe that you have improved a lot. You have to prove it to him. You have to sell it to him, and there may be a need to guarantee your performance until he truly believes you, and until it starts to be talked about in the market that, wow, Alchione or your company is much, much better. So, and then last we will talk about software, which is the products that I just mentioned before, and some others. So Alchione is here for profit and profitability, not theirs, because that's important as well, but yours. So what do these S's mean? Well, spotlight, you spotlight your weakest link, your constraint. We just mentioned that. It highlights the thing blocking more profit and higher ROI. We help you decide how to get the highest throughput from it. The constraint has to be used in a way that you will get the highest amount of throughput, and therefore also profit. And that is not just everybody helping it to produce more or to be faster and so on. It is also to decide which products are the ones that you should be selling, so that you can use the constraint in the best way and generate the most throughput. We help you show your people how to collaborate with the above decision. The non-constraints all have to work in a way that helps the constraint, does not hinder it. Many times, because people want to improve their local situation, they will cause damage to the constraint. This is important. It happens very, very often. And one of the key reasons why Alchione gets results, because they make you stop that. We help you decide when and how to expand. You can see it coming by the action of the software that happens in the software. You can see that the load on a particular machine is increasing more and more, and it is going to become the constraint. And once that has happened, we help you spotlight your next constraint. So specie and stack up. Specie is money, as I mentioned before. It is actually coin is mentioned, is the term rather than notes. Nevertheless, it is money, and what it is about for us, it's finance. Your financial people need to know, and need to analyze, and need to measure how well your company is doing. And the measurement is in terms of throughput, it's in terms of reliability, and it's in terms of effectiveness. So reliability is how well do you meet your customers' demand on time and in full, and effectiveness is how much inventory do you actually need to do that. Less is, of course, better. So we help evaluate decisions and your performance, and the decisions that we help you evaluate are things like investment in new equipment, in insourcing or outsourcing decisions, and others like those. Stack up is the measures that you have. Do you have the performance KPIs that will help you measure whether you stack up to your goal? Are you actually achieving your goal? So it's about finance and KPIs. Sync. We help you synchronize your operations and people with the needs of your key resource, which is obviously the constraint, and your market. We help you ensure priorities are correct and respected. And this is also part of the non-constraints, ensuring that the priorities that happen at the constraint itself can be met, because they need to deliver to the constraint on time so the constraint can be on time. Sync tools that we use are drum buffer rope and simplified drum buffer rope. They are a part of simple planning. Drum buffer rope is the terminology. The drum is the constraint. A buffer is the protection the constraint gets so that it never has to stop. And the rope is the signal to material release to start the next order. In the case of simplified drum buffer rope, it is the market that is defined as the drum. To manage these large amounts of data, DBR and SBR, they are supported by software. Ours are Simple Planning and TOC in SAP. Stock. Inventory is both an asset and a liability. It is an asset like other things the company purchases in order to sell them. It is an asset because it is there to protect your sales. It's a liability because it costs you money, and if you have the wrong stock, eventually you have to write it off, and that's therefore also a liability. Dynamic inventory management, it's a part of Simple Planning and TOC in SAP. Adjust your item stock targets to demand and supply. It continually converges towards the optimum. The algorithm in there causes the target inventory that you have to move up or down depending on the risk that you have of a stock out and therefore a shortage in the market. DIM prioritizes availability over inventory levels, so it's more important to have product available for the customer and a bit less important to have the right inventory or the right low inventory level. Nevertheless, you can get close to 100% availability and your inventories can be 40% or thereabouts lower. Steer is the word I use for project management. We help you steer your projects and people to maximize throughput and thus speed. Alchione is not focused on project management. There are others, partners and friends that do projects and support steering projects correctly using critical chain project management. Alchione can do it, is not focused on it. We help prioritize, or rather our partners help prioritize work within the project's environment. And, well, the steer tool is called Critical Chain Project Management. And there are several companies around the world that have such a software. Adato is in Europe, Realization and ProChain are in the US, Being is in Japan, and these are just 4 examples. Sales and selling. Well, once you have all of this good performance that we've just talked about, you need to help sales sell what you can do. It's not just product selling, you will also have to sell your capabilities in terms of reliability, in terms of speed, in terms of capacity. Your customers won't believe you straight away that you are much, much better. You need to find a way to convince them. One way is to guarantee what you have been able to do, and therefore guarantee, for instance, that you will be reliably on time, and if you're not, that you will pay a penalty. And some people have even tried to do the following, which is to pay a penalty if you're late, but to get a benefit, a bonus, if you are early. An early bonus, and bonus for early delivery is only valid if it makes sense for the customer. In other words, he gets a benefit. There might be a constraint within sales. A person that is a very good salesman but is being misused because he has to do all sorts of other things, just like happened in the quality control area. If you do have a constraint within sales, make sure that these people or this person can sell and doesn't have to do all sorts of other work that anybody else could do. We will also help you develop unrefusable offers, these euros, based on your lead time, reliability capabilities, and the capacity TOC develops with you. An unrefusable offer based on lead time and reliability can often be extremely important for your customer. Not for everybody, but for many. Here are the 5 benefits of SDBR and DIM software. You schedule according to your capacity and maximize throughput. No delays, prioritizes production, schedules maintenance, ensures perfect availability. More accurate due dates, greater due date reliability. It identifies emerging bottlenecks so you can react to that before they happen. Ensures people work on the right priorities and enhances good teamwork. The teamwork to benefit the constraint, get the constraint to really be able to get the most from itself. Simple Planning is our add-on package for your ERP. TOC in SAP is simple planning functionality built into SAP. Sabisoft is an ERP package with TOC built into it, targeted at small and medium-sized customers. It is an American product. The Velocity scheduling system targets job shops and their problems. It is also an American product. You can search the internet to find some other offerings. Ours are European, and the other 2, as I mentioned, are American, and I'm sure that you can find many, many more, maybe not many, many more, but more on the internet. There used to be a free DBR, which was based on Excel. Unfortunately, that thing is no longer available. The main pitfall. There is a pitfall that you have to be careful of. Local optimization is it. It means optimizing every function or area. Doing it takes focus away from getting the most from your constraint. Optimization actions can easily damage constraint performance. Optimization actions add other non-constraints. They do something and then it damages the constraint performance. In the case of the paint example that I mentioned, the fact that the experts were made to walk back and forth, get the samples, wait for the mixing to be done, is one way. And the production saved work for themselves to reduce cost or something, but it caused a lack of capacity in a different area. It happened to be the constraint. It is okay to begin actions to optimize the area that will become the next constraint, but take care to not damage constraint performance when you do that. So what's next? Well, look us up on LinkedIn. You can see us in English and German. There are articles there. Peruse my site at rudolfburkhardt.com. Look up Alcione on the web. Their site is in German. Join one of Alcione's customer visits to see results and to hear about the customer's experiences. It's a good thing to do, and I think it'll be very interesting. Join a TOC manager seminar. They are in German, excuse me, but with enough demand, can also be in English and French. There are 2 seminars. One is the TOC Manager, and the second one is TOC Manager Pro, that is more in depth. You can schedule a 20-minute free session with one of our experts or schedule a visit to your company. And lastly, why not request a potential analysis? We, meaning Alcione, do this over 2 days with you and your organization, and you will see what we think the potential is, what the logic behind the potential is, and you can decide for yourself whether you want to take the next steps and implement TOC in your organization. Thank you.